Chapter 5. Problems in the Challenge. Annabelle was determined to be a light in what seemed to be a dark place. David wasn't really a problem. He just didn't talk that much. Annabelle honestly wasn't sure if he'd be able to pull his weight. Annabelle began to think that if she motivated and encouraged him enough, then maybe he could. She knew her real problem was going to be Sally. How do you work with a person who doesn't like you? Would Sally like her ideas? Would she just sit there with an attitude all day, not smiling or helping out? There's only one way to find out, Annabelle thought. When Annabelle sat down at the table with a positive attitude, she proceeded to ask questions to get an idea of what the other two were thinking. So, what ideas did you two come up with for the activity? Annabelle asked nicely. David let out a long sigh and replied, Nothing yet. Sally rolled her eyes and said, I'm still thinking. This was going to be harder than Annabelle expected, but she was determined to break the ice and get things moving along. A light bulb flickered in Annabelle's mind, and she immediately shared what she believed was an amazing idea. David, since you're such an excellent artist, why don't you draw a picture of the four seasons of an apple tree? David rubbed his eyes and then started nodding his head up and down with a happy look on his face. Okay, I can start on that, he said. Hey, maybe I could label the parts of the tree too. That's a great idea, David, said Annabelle. Now, what bag of tricks could she suggest to Sally, who still had a frown on her face? Another idea popped in Annabelle's head, just as quick as the first. Sally, since you're so good at research, why don't you Google the life cycle of an apple and see what other information you can find about it? Maybe you can make a diagram of the inside of an apple and then. Sally cut her off in an upset voice. Who do you think you are giving orders to? You are not in charge of this group. Annabelle, who doesn't scare easily, answered quickly. I was just giving you a suggestion. How long are you going to sit at that desk with a frown on your face? We all have to do some part of this project. I just wanted to kick things off since you haven't suggested anything yet, said Annabelle. What part are you doing, little Miss Know It All? Sally asked in a sing song voice. Sally was jealous of Annabelle's leadership and was teasing Annabelle because of it. Annabelle's mom had told her about mean spirited people who just won't like you no matter how hard you try. Annabelle was quickly discovering that Sally might be one of those people. For the first time in a long time, Annabelle wasn't feeling so amazing. At first, she didn't know how to respond to Sally. Then Annabelle took a deep breath and answered Sally in the best way she knew how. Since I'm a people person, I'm going to create a class apple chart and ask everyone in the class what their favorite kind of apple is. Granny Smith, Golden Delicious, or Red Delicious. I'm going to get started on that right away. And you can do whatever you like, just as long as you do something instead of just sit there, Annabelle said. To her surprise, David commented, That's a good idea, Annabelle. Whatever, Sally said, shrugging her shoulders. Annabelle didn't speak with Sally for the rest of the day. Annabelle was upset. She had let Sally get to her, and as a result, she was disappointed with herself. Chapter 5 is finished. I have a question for you. How did Annabelle feel at the end of this chapter? How would you feel if you were in Annabelle's shoes? Discuss this with your friends.